Representation and power are central to cultural studies, explored extensively by theorists such as Michel Foucault and Stuart Hall. These concepts examine how meaning is constructed and maintained within societies and how power operates through cultural practices, language, and systems of representation. For Foucault, power is not simply a tool wielded by individuals or institutions to repress others. Rather, it is a pervasive and productive force that shapes knowledge, behaviors, and identities. Power functions through discourse, which Foucault defines as structured systems of knowledge and language that establish what can be said, thought, and understood about a particular subject. Discourses are not neutral or objective, they are deeply embedded in power relations, dictating which ideas are normalized and which are excluded. This makes representation a sign of both power and resistance, as it determines how individuals and groups are understood within society. Foucault's constructionist perspective challenges the assumption that meanings are inherent or natural. While physical entities and actions exist, their meanings are not fixed but are shaped by cultural and historical contexts. For example, the discourse surrounding concepts like gender, race, or class is historically specific and culturally contingent. These discourses do not merely describe reality, they actively construct it, producing identities and social hierarchies. This production of meaning through discourse illustrates the intricate relationship between representation and power. Through discourse, power functions subtly, influencing what is considered true or acceptable and shaping societal norms and values. Stuart Hall builds on Foucault's insights to explore the active role of language and culture in the process of representation. Hall argues that representation is not simply a reflection of reality, it is a dynamic process of meaning making. Language serves as a system of signs where meaning is constructed through shared cultural codes. This process is deeply political because it determines whose voices and perspectives are heard and validated. Hall's emphasis on the social construction of meaning underscores that representation is inherently tied to power. It influences how individuals see themselves and others, shaping identities and relations. Cultural norms and power structures play a decisive role in this process, determining who has the authority to define meanings and whose narratives are marginalized or excluded. Together, Foucault and Hall reveal the profound interconnections between representation and power in shaping individual identities and societal structures. Systems of representation, mediated through language and discourse, are tools for maintaining and contesting power dynamics. They not only reflect existing inequalities but also reinforce and perpetuate them. However, they are also sites of resistance where dominant meanings be challenged and reimagined. By interrogating the processes through which meaning and power operate, cultural studies seek to uncover the mechanisms of control embedded in everyday life and to foster critical awareness of their effects. In doing so, it aims to empower individuals and communities to resist oppressive structures and to imagine alternative ways of thinking, being, and interacting. The concept of technological rationality, as articulated by Adorno and Horkheimer, ties the rationality embedded in technology to domination. This rationality empowers the economically dominant class by standardizing cultural production and representation, ensuring perpetuation of existing power hierarchies. Mass media plays a pivotal role in this framework, as representation in mass culture equates to power. Larry Gross's assertion that representation is power underscores this idea, emphasizing that the ability to control representation influences societal values, conduct, and perceptions. Stuart Hall furthers this argument, positing that culture is a critical site for both establishing and unsettling power relations. He stresses that power does not operate unidirectionally. Instead, it is dynamic, with the potential for resistance and renegotiation embedded within the same structures that enforce subordination. Hall argues that power integrates the subordinate class into institutions and structures that uphold the dominant order's authority. These institutions, shaped by factors such as gender, race, colonialism, and caste, serve as mechanisms for the subordination of marginalized groups. However, within these very structures lie opportunities to challenge and destabilize established power relations. Power is not merely repressive but can also be enabling, offering possibilities for resistance and transformation. Foucault's conceptualization of power further enriches this analysis. He rejects traditional notions of power as a top down imposition or a property of the state. Foucault views power as relational, omnipresent, and rooted in the social fabric. It functions through innumerable points in society, manifesting in various institutions, structures, and discourses. Power is not something one possesses or relinquishes, but is exercised strategically within social interactions. This horizontal and pervasive nature of power challenges binary understandings of dominance and submission. Cultural theorists play a critical role in analyzing these power dynamics. Their task involves examining the institutions and structures through which power operates, understanding how forms of power like gender, race, and colonialism interact, and identifying opportunities for unseeing entrenched hierarchies. This analysis underscores the political commitment inherent in cultural studies, which seeks to reveal and challenge the interplay between culture and power. Representation functions dialogically within shared cultural codes where power intervenes to shape meaning and sustain dominant ideologies. The cultural industry, driven by technological rationality, exemplifies this process by promoting the rationality of domination under the guise of progress and innovation.